Hello, welcome back. This time I would like to tell you a little bit about an ancient prayer, a way of praying that's been around since the 1400s. Well, roughly around then. This is a way that most people don't know about, and in fact, I find it incredibly simple, yet it's also one that I personally do quite a bit. And it's called the centering prayer. And honestly, I think it could change your life. If you start practicing this on a daily rhythm, just whenever you've got 5-10 minutes. Some people do this and then they're able to re-anchor themselves every single day. But before I do, I'd like to present to you just a very, very easy, very simple way of thinking about prayer, especially centering prayer. And just imagine for a moment, if you will, a river. And it's a deep river, but at the top it's very tumultuous. Let's say there's strong winds and it's just very, there's a lot going on. Well, there's three ways of experiencing that river. And a lot of us live our lives on the top part of that river where things are incredibly rocky and there's tons of waves and we get pushed all around. And you can pray while at that level of the river, but then imagine, if you could, what it would be like just a few feet below. And maybe there is still some motion and you're still right there, but maybe it's not quite as much. Well, I believe that the life of prayer can, at some point, start to achieve sitting at the bottom of the river and living in such a depth of life that you are completely immersed in the river of life. However, you can look up at the tumultuous waves and the fury and the white caps of the river, and you're not as thrown about back and forth, left and right, up and down, all over by it. And so prayer becomes a way of living deeply in life, yet those of us that have seasons of living very surfacey life, we can be very, very much thrown around. Now, centering prayer, as I had mentioned before, it came out maybe around the 1400s, and it's super simple. I've actually taught this to a number of the youth. And all I would like for you to do is think of one way that you relate with God. And I mean, think of a word with as few syllables as possible. And let that one word that you choose be some word that kind of encapsulates your relationship with God. So for instance, you could say love. You could say here. You could say now. You could say Christ. You could say cross. You could say, man, any number of things. So I personally have my own word, which I will not share because it's mine and it's between me and God. And what ends up happening is you take all the issues of your day and you pray them through that one word, the one syllable word. And then you let that almost like filter through everything that you're going through in today. And I actually know of some people that have been doing centering prayer for 13, 14 years and always using the same word. And that means that that single word has become something that's got 17, 18 years of depth to them. Now, the word that I've been using for centering prayer, I've been using for maybe 3 or 4 years. And when that word shows up and I see it on signs or I hear of it or it's a theme in a movie, those things all stand out to me because already that word has about 3 or 4 years worth of depth to it. So I'd like to encourage you, if examine prayer from last week doesn't jive with you as much, and that's fine, I would like to encourage you, try this one. This one isn't very difficult. It's not one that's meant for just the monks or the nuns or the super pious, those that know how to pray super well. It's meant to be one that anyone can do. But what I love about it is that it's personal. You choose the word that summarizes your relationship with God. And if possible, try to think of a word that only has one syllable. And you might try out a prayer word for a week and then realize it's not quite the one for you. And that's fine. Just change it around until you find one that settles into you. And that one word can become like the anchor that pulls you to the depths of life, to the depths of the river of life. And from there, you can learn to perceive and pray through all of the tumultuous waters and the things that are above. So I realize that this form of prayer might be new to some of you. It might even feel a little easy. But that's why it's stuck around for the past 6-7 centuries since it was first developed. We think it was probably developed in this ancient and bewildering but wonderful book called The Cloud of Unknowing. And yeah, that's all. I think I would like to encourage you this week. Try out centering prayer. And as you settle into it, imagine yourself in the life of a river, or the river of life, and how you could live at the surface level and be rocked all around, and then try to look at things from a depth and then settle. And then from that place down there, when you are settled on the riverbed, when you can then pray all of the issues of your day through that one word like it's a filter or a funnel. And then let me know how it goes. But that's how you do centering prayer. There might be a few little tweaks that other people might teach it on, but you don't need a journal for this. You don't need a pen. You don't need to be super pious. You don't even have to be a long-time Christian. You can actually just be somebody that just started. So I find this one very, very easy for anyone to pick up. But if you do it for, my goodness, I couldn't imagine doing it for 30 years, and that single word for you has got 30 years worth of depth. That's just remarkable. So thank you. This is just another spiritual discipline to try out, another form of prayer. I hope that it helps you, and I hope that it helps you to experience the depth of life and everything else. So thank you. May grace and peace be with you.